everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to an Inner Life 101 video. Like I said before, um, I was coming with this video, make it very short. Um, where we have Eligio and my laws speaking about uh, Eligio adapting other people' knowledge into um, his message to the people. Um, anyways, let's hear some of that, and then I'll expound on it.
Well, I was just trying to go live with you real quick, but as far as your knowledge, I don't like, the fact that you're saying your knowledge, but let's put it like that, your knowledge.
Well, why wouldn't it be my knowledge?
Because it's not your knowledge.
I think it is my knowledge. Why would you say it wasn't my knowledge?
Where did you get the knowledge from?
I am the knowledge. The knowledge came through my experiences. I am it. What I came to give, my message, every one of us have a message to bring. And I feel like my knowledge that I bring is my knowledge that I came to bring. I don't think I'm separate of the infinite. I think that I am the message that I bring. Everything that I am that.
Okay, so what he's saying here is that, in so many words, yeah, other people bring the knowledge, and I Google it or I get it from YouTube or something, but I feel like it's mine because, I'm a part of everybody else, and I'm a part of this thing called the infinite, and therefore, the information is out there, so it's mine. And that is of course, that's gangster and it's theft, basically. In this country, you can be sued for that. Okay. uh, we don't usually sue for spiritual information, but a lot of it, I mean, some people can and some people do, so let's see.
Present what I am. I am that I am. I am my message. You can't say the message was already here because if you're going to say that, then I was already here. So
I remember writing him when he was making this kind of claims before, months ago, and I told him, I said, well, the Know Thyself teaching has been on earth for hundreds of years and maybe even thousands. And, it was mostly in secret societies. And, it's not your knowledge. He said it was not true. He told me that was not true, that he made it up, basically, in so many words. He made it up. He definitely said that it was not true, that the knowledge was already here before him. Now, you see, he's saying whatever he can say to whoever, whenever, he just making it up as he go. He just making it up, trying to make it spiritually sound, make it sound like it's spiritual and all of this. So, but he's just stealing people knowledge. That's all, other people information. And see, a lot of times people write this stuff down. Now, later on in the video, I'm gonna give you a little tidbit. They're gonna speak about wisdom, and I'm gonna give you a little something, an example of wisdom, which you don't like to give this guy stuff, but I won't give him something that will, that he can use against anyone, but it will be copywritten in this video, which, it'll be proof that I put this information out there, and with, anyways, let's go.
If you connected,
I'm the connoisseur, and I'm the artist of the message that I bring. I am the message that I bring.
Okay.
So, because he compiled all this information, that makes him the artist, and that makes him the connoisseur, as he put it, and that makes him the messenger for this information, for the other people information that he learned from other people, that he Googled and got from YouTube and other platforms. So,
if you connected to the infinite, right? You don't think other people are connected to the infinite, and this knowledge that you get from the infinite is accessible to all those who have
It's
access?
without a doubt. It's without a doubt. Because of the internet, everybody's sharing information, their knowledge that they discover within their journey and their experiences. Everybody is sharing their knowledge and experiences as a.
but she was talking about from the infinite, not the internet. The infinite. The infinite, everybody's being connected to the infinite, which is what he said before. And that shows you right there. He is making things up. He can't follow his own train of thought. So he's manipulating so and trying to make himself sound good. So he's already forgotten that he spoke about the infinite. And now he's jumping on the internet and everybody's sharing information on the internet, which is where he's getting it from.
Collective. See? And I feel like each and every one of us have a knowledge that we came to give or a message we came to give through our journey. And I feel like I just tapped into mine. A lot of people ain't tapping into theirs.
But of course, he didn't tap into other. He tapped into other people's knowledge, not his own. And he's right. Everybody do have information to bring, but he's not relying on his own self. He's not relying on his own information, his own way of. He's not allowing spirit to give him the wisdom and the knowledge that he needs to truly be who he wants to be, which is some kind of guru, master teacher, and all that. He's not relying on his self to come up with it. And I can tell you, to see him outside one day there in Panama pointing at the sun, talking about the Bible meant farther instead of, it meant further instead of father. Uh, if that is his wisdom, then we know he is deficient. He has debilitations in his own mentality and in his knowledge.
And they don't articulate it, so they like paying attention to another person instead of telling what they came to bring. And you know what I'm saying? I feel like each and every one of us are a message to each other.
I agree with that.
Which he feels that it gives him the right to use other people's information to build his own platform. So when he's out talking about other people using his image and all this other stuff and he gonna sue them, you can turn it around on him. You're using other people information. I just showed the video where he used my information in the last video with the what's her name, Madiva, telling everybody that Velvet told him that he has mommy issues and he's been trying to, because of those mommy issues, he's been trying to those abandonment issues is what it really is. He's been trying to create his own family, and I'm the one that told him that. So let's go.
I do agree with that.
Yeah. But I feel like all of us have a message within us that we're supposed to bring to the collective all to enlighten one another. And I feel like my message is my message. It's like if somebody wrote a song. The song, it doesn't belong to them, but you would say that they was the artist of it. That's their song. You would never say like, yo, this is not your song. That song was already here. You just sang it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no.
Uh-oh. It went back. Whoa. I didn't want that.
Doesn't belong to them, but you would say that they was the artist of it. That's their song. You would never say like, yo, this is not your song. That song was already here. You just sang it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no.
Okay. So is your message?
So the problem with that is this. When there is an artist that rewrites a song and compile it in its own way, you have to get permission, number one. Okay? You have to. So somebody does come up and says, that's not your song. You didn't create that. They do that. You do say that. You didn't create that song. The only reason no one says that to artists that actually publish it, of course, is because they've gotten a permission to do it. See, so this is the man who's threatening people with his attorneys when he had his idea of other people information and other people knowledge is he owns it too. But see, that shows you his lack. That shows you that he does not have a creative bone. I don't want to say that. I'll just say he hasn't found the creative bone. His his creativeness goes into stealing and manipulating other people and using other people's stuff. He was not able to develop his own creativity as a child. So that shows you that that's why he doesn't, like I heard somebody say, he don't know how to build a birdhouse. He don't know how to build anything because he never cultivated the ability to create. We're all creators. God is a creator of the heavens and the earth and the universe and all of that. And we were made in God's image in that way. So that's why we're creative the way we are. So he is too, but he don't know that. He's never seen it out of himself. He probably did try. And when he creates stuff, it fails. So he didn't like that. So he started using other people things in order to um, be more successful.
Because it's your experience, and I get that part. And I do agree with the fact when you express your message, you sending me a message, and it's kind of like that's how we relating. I get that part too. So why not just call it your wisdom instead of knowledge?
Well, because it's something that I know. Knowledge is what you know, and I'm speaking about what I know. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, because it's not his wisdom. His wisdom was, for example, when he went out on the porch that day, pointing at the sun, saying that the people in the Bible, the writers of the Bible, meant when they said father, like the male, the daddy, he's out there pointing at the sun and saying, well, they actually meant father. The sun being so far away, they mean father, that father that's in the sun. It's like it was insane. It was absolutely insane and just just odd. Anyways, that shows his wisdom. That was his wisdom, and his wisdom makes people say that's kind of crazy. And he knows that, and he's been um, told that for so long until he's developed a way to get other people information and recite it and make it his own and do it smoothly.
it's coming through me. You know what I'm saying? And so is my knowledge.
Knowledge is what you think you know. Wisdom is what you know because you experienced it. So it's best to say your wisdom because it's your experience.
Okay, knowledge is what you know. Wisdom is what you put into action. There's a difference. So it's one thing to acknowledge something, to know something. It's another thing to put that knowledge into action. That's wisdom. I'm giving what I.
Okay, that right there shows you his wisdom. He's trying to sound intelligent and he's creating something. He's trying to make up something to fit into what she's talking about. She's talking about wisdom. Wisdom has nothing to do with what you put in action. We all know that. Any of us that grew up with the learning about how the elders have the wisdom and the younger people have the strength. Um, Wisdom is something that it's a an insight into various experiences, but it is a higher insight. It is an insight that everyone doesn't get a chance to peer into. Everybody doesn't have the same wisdom at the same time. When I say the same wisdom, I mean the same thought. Everybody doesn't have the same wise thought at the same time. So, certain just because you have a wise thought or whatever doesn't mean that it is wisdom, of course, but because it can be knowledge. But wisdom, I'm trying to give an example. Okay, as an example, like I said, just coming, well, even my knowing that he is the type, I mean, that he, before I even knew what his background was, and I saw what he was doing, I knew that he had to have abandonment issues. I could tell with his anger and the way he treated people, and then he's trying to create this thing, this family to live under one roof together with him. He don't care how many people it is. I knew that he had to have been abandoned, and then later on it came out that how his situation was. But this is an example of wisdom. So one day I was thinking about um, the stomach, just your stomach. And what came to me is that I think I was having issues with my stomach or something, and I was thinking about it. And then I have things I'm checking out my body, and I'm trying to figure things out. And it came to me that the reason that and I hear other people try to explain it, and you hear professional medical people try to explain this. Why do people go to sleep after a meal? And society has even worked against the meal. I mean, against that process, people going to sleep and everything. So, people go to work, they go to lunch, come back, they're sleepy. It's hard to get back into work because they're sleepy. Well, it came to me, or I figured out, I don't know what you want to call it. I can't say figure it out because I didn't have the a laboratory to figure it out in. So it came to me that the reason for that is that there is the digestive process is a very violent process. You have gases and acid working on, or you have acid that produces the gases and is working on the food, is digesting the food there. And this is such a violent process going on inside of you. Acid is, have you ever seen acid? It's almost like the peroxide. But if you ever seen real acid put on meat or something, it bubbles and, chews it up pretty much. So you have this violence inside of you, and that's why you go to sleep. Your body needs you to lay down and sleep while it's going through that process. So we work against that uh, process because we, when we're taught to, number one, do 3 meals a day, and then we're taught to stay awake, like I say, stay awake during, when in reality, every time we eat, how no matter how many times that is, especially after a large meal, the one that makes us go to sleep, that makes us feel sleepy. I'm not talking about snacking, but the ones that make us feel sleepy, we should go to sleep after every meal like that. We should go to sleep. The doctors will tell you you're not supposed to sleep on that full stomach. You should get up and walk around and do all these other things. But in reality, your body is trying to put you to sleep for a reason. And that reason is so that that process, that violent process of digestion, is easier on the body and easier on you. That's why you're going to sleep, so that it can do what it needs to do, spread it where it needs to go, and it'll be a smoother process, and won't work against you. Anyways, that's wisdom. That's something that nobody's ever told me. That's something that I've never heard a doctor say, never heard come from any kind of medical book or anything. It's just out of my own observations and my own experience of know thyself. This is what the know thyself teaching will lead you to. It's not only knowing yourself, eventually, when you live the knowledge for so long, when I say the knowledge of know thyself, when you're living it and you live it so long, then spirit, or I don't know what you want to call it, but it ends up giving you these kind of things. These, because you learn to know other people, because you're learning yourself. See, that's the difference between psychology and the spiritual know thyself teaching. Spiritual psychologists, okay, the medical field psychology, and the spiritual psychologist. The spiritual psychologist truly gets to know everyone. A medical psychologist does not, because the medical psychologist does not work on itself first. And that's another tidbit of wisdom. That's what wisdom is, not just the knowledge of knowing these things, knowing, and like what she's saying that it's something that you know. I just know that this is what's happening to the body when you want to, when you're laying down. And I just know, I mean, when you get sleepy, and I just know that, the psychologist cannot heal other people unless in their spiritual psychologist, because their prerequisite, or, well, they don't have a true prerequisite. Their prerequisite is books, studying books instead of studying themselves. Okay, and that is where you get the true change and the miracle, the miraculous changes in people. Let's go on.
No, so that you can take it and put it into action. That's
Got
what.
it. Got it. So can you agree that through this whole
So, where is the, you heard the examples of wisdom. Actually, I gave you two examples there. Where does that action come from that he just mentioned? The knowledge that you put into action or something like that. Where is that in what I told you? So that shows you he doesn't know about wisdom. and I can see his wisdom. He lacked wisdom. He reaches for wisdom, but it's not there. It it ends up being a mental fog and a mental I don't know, even I can't find a word right now to say, but like I said, talking changing the word in the Bible from father to further out to the son, that it's an insanity. Basically, it's a disconnect from the truth and what is real and all of that. That is what he's experiencing when he tries to reach for wisdom. And he wants to so bad, but he has problems.
Any of yours that your knowledge has changed because of your wisdom?
Yeah, I could say that. I could say that knowledge has changed because of wisdom. I feel like when we out here with all this knowledge out here, we out here awakening to be out here applying the knowledge that we think we know or we know. You see what I'm saying? Whatever we know, we got to apply it to our lives. You see what I'm saying? So that we can have the absolute truth or understanding of that knowledge. You see what I'm saying? Once we act out.
Didn't she ask him how did his knowledge change his wisdom, or how did his wisdom change his knowledge? And anyways, we don't want to analyze everything that comes out of someone's mind that obviously shows mental deficiencies.
The knowledge of what we know, then we can have more knowledge. We have more knowledge to understand from the action of that knowledge, which we gain wisdom from. You feel what I'm saying?
So don't you think it's best to express wisdom versus knowledge?
Nah, I think that we in the information age. I think we're here to make mistakes. I think that that's part of the evolution process. If everybody was perfect, then it would be no fun. I think that the fact that we make mistakes is dope. So we make mistakes. I think that that's part of the.
It's best to.
I have to go back.
We have more knowledge to understand from the action of that knowledge, which we gain wisdom from. You feel what I'm saying?
So don't you think it's best to express wisdom versus knowledge?
Okay, now I have to stop this because when he gets to talking, it's confusing or something. Something is coming out of it. Something's emanating from it that is making it hard to grasp. So she asks, don't you think it's better to, um, you know, express wisdom than knowledge? Of course, it's best. Knowledge is good. Knowledge is life. Knowledge is everybody has knowledge. Every single body has some kind of knowledge on this earth. Wisdom is something higher. Okay, so yes, of course, something higher. If you can live in wisdom every day, or wisdom is constantly coming to you all day, every day, and you don't really have to have knowledge, and it just comes to you. You're almost like some kind of psychic or something at that point. But no, it was a simple question that she asked. The simple question, and the answer would be yes. It is very, I mean, yes, it is better, to have wisdom than knowledge. But that's what this so-called conscious community has done to a lot of people. They value knowledge instead of wisdom. And wisdom is what is should be valued, because wisdom is spiritual. Knowledge is something that you experience, that you gather while you're walking on the earth and through your experiences. Um, some wisdom comes with, experiences, but not all. I mean, you don't always have to. I mean, I just showed you an example. I mean, uh, for it to come to me the way it did, I didn't have to know anything about studying the digestive system in order to come up with why we experience what we experience after eating. So, anyways, let's see more. It's hard to do to work on his so-called knowledge because it's hard to just listen to him because, like I said, it gets kind of he mixes things up or he gets it mixed up to a point where it stops, it stalls, and then he got to dance his way out of it. So, but you don't see it. He knows how to hide it on his face and in his emotion. He knows how to be calm and to look like he knows.
Now, I think that we in the information age. I think we're here to make mistakes. I think that that's part of the evolution process. If everybody was perfect, then it would be no fun. I think
Okay, she asked him, did she think knowledge, did he think that it was better to have wisdom than knowledge? And now he's saying, no, I don't think so because we can all make mistakes and it's better to make mistakes because we get, where did the mistakes come in at? Who asked him about mistakes? See, he's dancing his way out of the conversation because he's at his limit. He's reached the ceiling. He don't know about wisdom. And this knowledge thing is something he gotten on the Google. So he can't go any higher on this. So he got to dance his way out of this. So that's where you got to watch. That's where that sickening way comes in at because he don't know. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He knows he's dancing out of it, but he doesn't know that it's crazy. It's I hate to use the word crazy, but it's illness that's showing. It's that's what's coming through. He don't realize that.
that the fact that we make mistakes is dope, so we can learn and evolve from them. I think that we have to make mistakes. I think that that's the part of evolving that makes it dope. You know what I'm saying? If we never make mistakes, then we would inevitably know that we were everything and we are God, and that just takes away from the purpose of becoming God.
And of course, she never mentioned anything about making mistakes. But what he has learned, obviously, um, with the Know Thyself teaching, is that we use our mistakes from our experiences to learn. And that's the whole premise of the Know Thyself teaching is to learn from your mistakes and to grow from those mistakes. It's simple as that. That's what he really wanted to say, but he has to make it seem like he's the Messiah. He has the message, and he doesn't.
So let's take it back real quick to when you was speaking on being vegan and shit. You at that moment you was very confident and saying what you were saying, and a lot of people took 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 that and proceeded with it. And I'm not gonna lie, I was one of them, but it wasn't from you. It was because that's what I told myself. After a while, my body, it was yearning for fruit and water, and so I became a vegan for 7 months. But it's not for everybody. As you can, I lost mad weight, a lot of body muscle, and all that. Like, the other day I just took some B12 to get my, immune system a little stronger. So it's not for everybody, and so that's why I'm saying, don't you think it's best to just express the things that you know because you've experienced it?
Yeah, nah, I think that as I'm going, I'm growing. I feel like if you was following me on my journey, I think that veganism is absolutely.
And I like to get into that. He's knowing and he's growing, but other people are nearly dying because you're knowing and you're growing. Okay, the whole thing is that, like somebody else said, I think it was Tori that said earlier today, that had anyone ever looked into his diet, his B6 diet, into his meals to see exactly what you're getting out of it? Are you, she said basically, are you getting any B6 out of the meals? So nobody ever looked into this man's meals and his diet to see if it was nourishing enough for anyone. So yeah, so now he learns and he, makes mistakes and he learns and now he moves on and anyways, at other people's expense.
Correct. I think most people need to be that have been eating processed food their whole life need to become vegan. They need to become vegan. It's a necessary step toward whole foods. I think that a lot of people.
And and of course, everybody agrees with that. That is not that's a no-brainer, really. I mean, we know that we're not eating properly on this in this society, and we do need to cut back on the processed foods. So he's not telling us nothing great and grand there. And he didn't tell us that when he brought out that his diet is either.
Instead of being fasting, I think they need to be eating fruits and veggies to cleanse their blood first. And of processed food that we've been eating junk now, ladies. I'm from New York. I grew up on zebra cakes, nigga. You know what I'm saying? I grew up on motherfucking little Debbie cakes and shit. You know what I mean? I'm from New York. We ate a lot of processed sugars. All this stuff is in our system, and our cells was made up of stuff. And so, for us to be in line with the universe, it was only right that we got the message to become more cleansly in the way we eat. But it was taken to an extreme, and now it must bring balance to it. And in our cleansing, then deficiencies, then we can tell people like, yo, you need to eat some clean meat and fish. Add that to your, you know what I mean? Like we can tell people that from wisdom now because we've been out here because of the information age. We've been.
Okay, so now it's wisdom that and you see how he uses words. He hadn't said wisdom from the whole time that she was on until she brought it up. Okay, so now he's gonna use her word. And it was just 2 weeks ago when someone introduced to him or told him, his woman told him that we need to start eating some meat. I don't know if she did go to the doctor or something. Somebody let her know that it's time for her to get some protein in her body. I know when I saw her before she went home, this young lady's head was bigger than her body. It was out of proportion. So somehow she went home, figured out that she needs to have more nourishment, and that comes from the meat and the chicken and the fish, and that is so he decided he needs to adapt that as well, but he wants to take that information and make it seem like he came to that conclusion that this is what needed to be done, but he didn't do it. For all these years he didn't come up with the conclusion. He was being stubborn in his own idea that he's the Messiah and he knew best. And then she comes in with something new. So, you know, he's like a tree in the wind.
Living it for ourselves, and we're not gonna be silly, and we're gonna tell people what we know from experience. You feel what I'm saying?
What we know. You see, he was silly up until 2 weeks ago when people were calling it be sick diet, when people were telling them these people look malnourished, they look bad. People were telling them he was spinning and say they don't look bad. And he even did a live where he lined everybody up pretty much, telling them, look at him, he looks strong. They look strong. They're not weak. I used to be bigger than this and this, because she pointed out that they were all malnourished. Okay, and now all of a sudden it's his idea and it's their idea as a collective, as a family, as a tribe, that they're going to tell everybody that they should eat now. So should eat better. And he's the man that came out with the book. Now, why couldn't he go back and number one, he should have studied like Joy said. I mean, my assumption would have been that he did do it. I assume that you didn't already know how many calories are in it, how many calories they're getting in a day, because they're only eating once a day. So if you're eating a bunch of fruit and whatever, you get what, 300, 400 calories in a day? It depends on what he's eating. You got potatoes or whatever. Say 500 calories a day. That can lead to organ shutdown. It really can. So if you're not, and you're doing it every single day, that can be a big problem. So anyway, so now all of a sudden, see how seamlessly this is, by the way, people, this is just a lie. This is a lie, okay? For someone to come in and revamp everything that he's been teaching thousands of people for years and change it in 2 weeks after someone comes back, and he's this smooth, seamlessly laying it out as if there's no issue, or he's never, all of a sudden, I mean, they had this miraculous, you know, thing happen to them to where they have to, almost like they had a board meeting. So the board meeting, this they decided in the board meeting, the board decided that, it's best for us to go ahead and start doing some revamping of our meals and everything. No, he said we can't be stupid, but he was. For how long?
So I think it's all necessary for people to process. That's for eating processed Chinese food. You know what I mean? But at the bodega eating, you know what I'm saying, poppy sandwiches. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with all that, but you understand this can cause a body into shock. Like, going from eating meat to just like not eating meat, and it's like I think that's what happened to me. But this is my whole point to even talking about this is the thing about you that's annoying is that you be like my knowledge, and you just keep making it seem like this is absolute fact when it could be a little lighter. It could be you could just be like, yo, this is what when you bring it to I'm the master teacher and this is my knowledge, and it's like nah, bro, that's not nah. This is just life.
Well, I believe in myself and whatever I'm doing to that extent. I do believe that I'm the Messiah. I do believe that my message is the most high consciousness on this plane. I believe I'm the messenger to my people. I do believe that, and that's for me to believe. Now, if I said I was a gangster, or if I said I was the illest nigga alive, you feel me? If I said I was a pimp,